With all that's happening in the world, do you find that your mind is running away with thoughts of work and family and all the stresses that come from the obligations of running a household? Do you find yourself anxious or feeling stressed out? So one way to deal with this is to get outside and join nature. And the best place for that is the garden, because you're able to come out here and it will help you to push those stresses out of your everyday life. And the great thing about it is it's not only good for healing, but it's really therapeutic as well. Now, I've teamed up with Miracle-Gro once again for this video. I'm Tony O'Neill and this is Simplified Gardening, where I show you how to garden in a simpler way. Each of us has loads of different worries and reasons why we can get anxious and stressed in our lives. And for me, it's the worry and the stresses of running a family and making sure that I can supply exactly what they need and provide for them. But also on top of that, I have a really stressful job too. Being a firefighter, well, some of the things that I do within my job can really mess with my head, and the everyday things that I see can really affect me. So it's important that I have somewhere which I can go in order to be able to reflect upon that and also manage what's going on in my head. And the garden is the perfect place for that. For me, gardening gives me that escape. It allows me to come here and forget everything that I've dealt with throughout the day. And I can tell you that when I come here and I get my head down, I forget about everything else that's going on. It really has that ability to heal. Now, without this place, I can safely tell you that I probably would have had a breakdown over the years. When Miracle-Gro contacted me again and said they wanted to work with me again this year, well, I thought that that was a perfect opportunity. And we quickly, between us, came up with the idea of well-being in the garden. Now, this gives me the perfect opportunity to create an area where I can sit and relax and watch life going on within my garden. And it would become the perfect place for me to sit down, reflect and balance out what's going on in my head when I have a really stressful day at work or at home or whatever the case is. And I thought that this area here would be an ideal place to do it. Now, originally I was going to turn this area back into growing after I took this shed down here, but I built this greenhouse, as you've seen from a previous episode, and I decided that I'm going to dedicate this spot here into being my well-being garden. So to do that, I have to take down this shed also, because I don't have enough space here. But this shed was always going to come down anyway. As you can see, it's really rickety and it's not safe. So I'm going to take this shed down, and on the back of the shed that's behind it, I'm going to create some cold frames, and then this whole area will be patioed out like a little patio garden. That's going to allow me to put in things within here that's going to help me focus my mind. Now, of course, I can't create this entire garden in this video, because that's going to be a major project with having to remove the shed and everything else. But I will be doing follow-on videos of that. But in this episode, I need to get the plants started so that they have time to mature, so that when that area is done, I can then bring them out and place them in the areas that I need to require. So in this area, I'm going to be planting up all the baskets, the pots and the containers that I need for this patio area. So Miracle-Gro has sent me a load of compost to test within my garden, and I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to use that in the well-being garden, and this is what I'm going to do. So they've sent me a good selection here, 3 different types of composts and quite a few of each, and they are all peat-free. So we start here with the peat-free all-purpose compost, and this is great for our containers and planters and things like that, and that's what we will use for them. They've sent me this peat-free moisture control compost, and that's going to be fantastic for the hanging baskets and things like that, and the wall mounted pots, because they will help to absorb that water, and it requires much less watering. And they've also sent me here an ericaceous peat-free compost, which we are going to be planting in a container as well, and I'll show you what that's for later on. The first thing I wish to do is plant some hanging baskets. These will stay in the tunnel until they get established, but eventually they'll be hung out on the area of the cold frames that I was explaining about. And now for this task, we'll use the peat-free moisture control compost. The reason for this is that Miracle-Gro has specifically formulated this compost for hanging baskets to prevent it from drying out so quickly. This compost contains 3 months of feed along with 14 minerals and aquacoya, which can hold loads of water. It can cut the watering requirements by up to 50%. The peat-free all-purpose compost, well, we'll use that in all our planters and pots, as I've already said. It's perfect for this. Now all the plants that I'm using have bright colours or have a great smell to really get the senses going. The peat-free all-purpose again has 3 months of feed and has been specifically formulated for the plant's root system to get established properly and not dry out. I also chose a peat-free ericaceous compost, and there are many plants like begonias, blueberries, asters, astilbes, azaleas, but I'm going to be putting a hydrangea into this pot, and this will give me a great flush of colour throughout the summer. And the reason we need ericaceous is because azaleas and hydrangeas and these sorts of plants, well, they require acidic conditions, and the hydrangea will, the pH of this will decide whether or not it's going to be a pink bloom or a blue bloom, and I want a blue bloom. Now, Miracle-Gro has an extensive range of peat-free composts on their website, and you should go and check them out, and I'll put a link in the description below for you to do just that. And they have a peat-free compost for everything you could think of. And what I will say is we are all becoming a little bit more sort of conscious about our environment, and taking the peat out of the bogs and things is not really good for us anymore. So the fact that Miracle-Gro has seen this and produced these peat-free composts for you, well, that's just a bonus. Well, I've now got a ton of plants planted, and they'll all be soon ready for me to be put into my well-being garden. I, for one, cannot wait to get it finished so that I can sit, relax and reflect on the everyday stresses. I will, of course, be doing updates on this area and how it pans out, and I will do a complete update video of it around the end of August. But I, for one, can't wait until I can get the shed down and be able to sit and relax and reflect in this area. I think it's going to be a fantastic addition to the garden to allow me to let those stresses just ooze out of my body. If you found value in this video, then you can subscribe here. And when you've done that, if you want to see exactly what I did for Miracle-Gro last year in their patio garden series, then this is the next video that you should watch. I'm Tony O'Neill, and this is Simplified Gardening, where I show you how to garden in a simpler way. Remember folks, you reap what you sow, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.